All right, throughout this module, we've extensively explored the panel pandas object, which of course is a three-dimensional object. But there are different ways that we can store the exact same information that's stored in a panel in a slightly different format. What we can do is also create a multi-index data frame. So let's begin by executing our original code to bring in a panel object that's going to be stored in our P variable. So the reason that we can't visually represent this currently, this panel, is because there's three dimensions and there's no way on this page to kind of have three different layers. However, the multi-index data frame offers us a solution because what it does is basically stacks two of those indexes into one position. So let's take a look. I'm going to convert the panel to a multi-index data frame automatically by calling a method on my panel. So let's begin with P and the dot, and the method is called toFrame. When we call the toFrame method on a panel, it converts it to a multi-index data frame, and a data frame is visual, so we'll be able to see the result automatically. Let's take a look. Now, in our original panel, we had this items axis, which represented the 5 data frames, open to volume, and you can see that those values from the items axis have now become the column headers of our original, or rather our new data frame. So you can see open, high, low, close, and volume are 5 options right here, or from the items axis have now been put into the column position. Our major and minor axes of the panel object, which represent the row labels and the column labels, so we have the date times here as well as the company stock symbols, they've now been structured together and become the multi-index on the left. You can see the outer layer here is those same date times. We can see the very first one here. And within each date time, we have that structured component of the minor axis, which is the 5 company names. In this case, I think we have 4 because we are missing information for Google for that date. But what you can see here is basically, we can even see the minor is written here. But basically, the major and minor axes of the panel have become the row index of the multi-index data frame, and our items axis from the pandas panel has become the column headers up top, and now we're basically able to contain all of the information here in a multi-index data frame. If I'm satisfied with this, I can just store it to a new variable. So let's assign this new data frame to df and just preview the first 5 rows. There we have it. So now let's do the process in reverse. Let's say I receive a multi-index data frame such as this one, and I want to convert it to a pandas panel object. So what we can do is call a method on a data frame, which is now df, and of course the corresponding method is toPanel. So if I'm going to put those parentheses there and execute, we're basically going to get the exact same result as what we started this lesson with. We're going to get a three-dimensional pandas panel. These are now going to be moved into their right position, so the outer layer of the multi-index is going to become the major axis, or the row labels. The second level or layer of my multi-index is going to become my minor axis in my panels, or the column levels, the column labels, and now our 5 values from the columns in this data frame are going to become our items axes, or the reference points that we use to extract any one of those data frames from our three-dimensional panel object. So if I'm satisfied with this, I can store it to a variable. Let's just call it P2. And so now P2 is going to have our three-dimensional panel object. So those are just 2 quick convenience methods: toFrame on a panel and toPanel on a data frame, in order to convert them into each other, a panel to a multi-index data frame and a multi-index data frame to a panel. Just 2 different ways to structure the data. Perhaps you're more visual and you like seeing this multi-index data frame. Perhaps you like it more structured and probably optimized for speed in a panel object. Just 2 different ways to accomplish the same thing.